So I'm here to talk about the childcare pathway, as it used to be known, which is now the postgraduate certificate, diploma, and masters in social work with children, young people, and families. Note to self: always choose a more snappy title for presentations. But there we are. That's the program that we have, and we run it, as I say, at these three levels within the postgraduate framework. I don't know how many people are in the rooms. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to be here from the beginning, but I hope this will just set out some of the range of issues that we cover. We aim to make this a programme that appeals to people working, social workers working across the spectrum of children and families work. It's not specific to child protection or any specific domain of social work. And we hope that if you are interested in this, you may find that a standalone module works for you, or that the coherence of the programme across the three modules, which I'll talk about in a moment, will make sense to you. So, sorry, this is really going to be difficult for me. Hold on just a tick, can you? All right. So what are we trying to do here? We've set out the aims of the programme, and they are basically around trying to give you a refresher, to introduce you to some new knowledge. We hope we take it very seriously that we are a research-led, research-informed programme, and we try to bring you the most up-to-date information we can that we think will be useful. So we are trying to enable children and families social workers to work with advanced knowledge, theories, and methods of intervention to enable them to effectively meet the diverse needs of children and young people in a variety of settings. So that's, as I've said, that we are trying to work across the spectrum. There are modules that focus in on specific areas of practice, perhaps, but we hope that we work at a level where people can take what they need from that more specific setting and apply it to their own particular context. But we have that focus on giving you the underpinning knowledge, theories, and methods of intervention to really give you that strong scaffold for practice. That we are looking to support you to develop a critical and informed understanding of the range of skills and knowledge underpinning to underpin work with safeguarding practice and child protection with children and families. So working in that arena of risk and uncertainty that, well, as we know, is run through practice like right through Brighton Rock. So our last aim is to strengthen participants' knowledge and understanding of how outcomes for children in state care might be enhanced, and to improve participants' skills in working directly with children and families in state care. Again, in that regard, we are looking at care across the spectrum and looking at the range of circumstances that children may be in, children and families may be in, when children cannot live with their immediate birth family for whatever the reasons may be. So those are our broad thematic areas, if you like, represented in those aims. Could you move forward, please? And these are the outline modules that we have here. We have three double modules for this programme. Each module is 40 credits, and that means that it counts effectively as two modules. So by doing the three modules together, you would end up with 120 credits, which is enough for a postgraduate diploma. If you do only one or two modules, you can exit with a postgraduate certificate. It may be that you've already gone through the numbers, so apologies if I'm repeating something you've already been told. The modules reflect the aims of the programme, that we have one that is focused on advanced knowledge, theory and methods, and we will be looking at a range of underpinning theories that support practice and that are integral to practice. We have the module on promoting and safeguarding the welfare of children and families, which is dealing a lot with elements of risk and uncertainty and complexity, that we know that children are living in increasingly we are living in increasingly complex circumstances. So how do we support families effectively? How do we engage with families in ways that are seen as supportive, given the current concerns and constraints? How do we assess families fairly, helpfully, and transparently? How do we manage risk and uncertainty in a very complex and changing world? We look at some specific issues around domestic violence and intimate partner violence. We look at particular approaches to practice in relation to systemic working with multiple adversities and trauma, bringing a trauma-informed understanding across the modules. As we learn more and more about the impact of trauma, we are trying to take on board the learning that's coming out of research about trauma-informed care and bringing that into the modules as appropriate across the whole of the Children and Families programme. We also are trying to look at emerging issues. Social work never stands still. So in that module, we're also looking at emerging issues that might be coming through in safeguarding. So we know that there are significant issues, for example, around drug and alcohol use and misuse. We know that there are significant issues around online harm, cyber harm, if you like, children being involved in what's been known as county lines work, where they are drawn into criminality and so on. So a range of things that we try and pick up in that module. And then in the third module, which is convened by my colleague Mandy MacDonald, we're focusing very much into the range of issues that are faced by children in state care and their families and their carers across the board. So we're looking at residential care, we're looking at foster care, we're looking at kinship arrangements. So a whole range of complex issues. We look at contact, we look at the role of siblings, where do siblings fit into our thinking? How do we make sense of contact in a much wider and more open environment where actually we know, for example, that kids make contact with their families online, families make contact with their kids online. So actually trying to think about what does all this mean when children are away from their parents in these complex and often changing environments. So those are the modules that we offer. Each one is delivered as 2 4-day blocks separated by a fortnight. The first module typically runs in October, the middle one in February, March, and the third one, depending when Easter is, in April. So they're spread across the year. You don't have to do them in that order, but there is a kind of logic, certainly to doing the advanced knowledge theories and methods one first, because that provides the kind of, as I say, the kind of intellectual scaffolding. If you complete 3 of the 3 full modules, you are eligible to move on to the dissertation, and that will give you not only the specialist level awards. As you can see, we've identified the PQ level requirements against the modules. So if you do the 3 modules, you will add up to your 1 to 9, and then you can move on to the leadership and strategic lead elements that would be represented by completing the master's dissertation. So that is a kind of scamper through. We try and work as interactively as we can. We try and engage students as much as we can in discussion and making use of your practice experience. We know that everyone on the programme is an experienced practitioner, and one of the joys of this is actually being able to use students' own practice knowledge and wisdom to support the learning across the group. And people are typically extremely generous with their own knowledge and questioning, and that leads to very lively and productive discussions, I think. Our entry requirements are outlined there. This is one of the programmes that is specifically for social workers. We are thinking about whether there are ways of broadening this out, but presently we have to be mindful that the programme is only accessed by qualified and experienced social workers, ideally with a 2-2 honours degree or above, or an equivalent qualification that we can explore with you if you're not sure. You do need to have a qualification that is recognised by the Social Care Council and to be registered with the Social Care Council. So it does mean that you need to also have practice, post-qualifying practice, usually with 2 years. We have accepted people with slightly less than that, but this is a programme that is designed to take your thinking forward, so we hope that we're building on strong foundations. You do need to be engaged in practice. You will notice that this is only offered as a part-time programme, and that is because we require you to be engaged for at least 12 hours a week in a capacity in which, as it says here, core social work values underpin your practice with service users or carers. So we know we work with managers, and there's sometimes some adjustments to be made in terms of how people can manage their workload to accommodate the demands of the programme, particularly things around direct observations. But we aim to take a flexible approach. And if you've got any questions about whether your work would be suitable, then please don't hesitate to come and have a chat. I think that's me.
Okay, thank you, Danielle, for that very informative overview of the programme at Queen's.